I wanted to show with this one chart for our fellow cattle section here is how exciting we have on in a bullish environment right now for beef. So the light blue bars here are just beef production by itself. We're having a slight uptick here for 2011 or 2010 right now. It's going to be slightly actually slightly lower here once 2011 all rolls around. But one thing we want to point out here is beef production is not supply. Supply is determined by how much beef is left in the U.S., which this chart shows. We're still net importers of beef. However, because we got such a great export market right now, the volume of beef that we're bringing in is almost minuscule. What I did here with this red line here was show that beef supplies are still at the lowest level in 10 years. Beef supplies that hit the U.S. consumer, which is what makes prices here in the U.S., lowest in 10 years. Now, I'm going to explain partially of why we have this crazy bull market in cash cattle right now. We traded cash up to 104 here last week. They already booked numbers for both this week as well as next off that 104 as well. Packers are scrambling for supplies. And this is the reason because once you take into consideration exports, we have a very, very tight supply situation. Last week we also got news. We got the free trade pact. Both sides of the negotiators kind of got like a working agreement worked up, and it's gone to both the president of the U.S. as well as the president of South Korea to take a second look at here. So progress has been made on the free trade issue here. The last issue right now is this whole U.S. consumer demand issue. Now, Friday's employment report was the disappointment. No doubt about that. However, consider this fact, so far retail sales and those issues are higher. Consumers are spending more money right now. So what we have to consider here is the people without jobs, yes, it's still a major concern. You got to put a negative number on that issue for the demand side. The people with jobs are spending their money, and that is overshadowing the problems we have with the unemployed people. That's just the ugly fact, but it's still the basic fact we have to consider. People who have jobs are starting to spend their money now where they weren't the last couple of years. So that's why any small uptick in consumer demand net has a big change in price once you consider the supply picture here right now. So that's why we're having this move here. As we talked about before, in fact, there's one other thing which is kind of exciting right now we've got to consider as for a seasonal change. Right now we're entering winter. We usually have about 2 or 3 big snow events in the plains which suddenly move this cash cattle market and futures dramatically. 2 or 3 big snow events. So far we haven't had one yet. But I want you guys to start watching that radar each and every day once you walk in, and also watch those weather forecasts. Any type of snow event on this type of supply situation will be a big deal in prices. So keep that in mind. Overall, we're still bullish. Even though our upside objectives of 108 on the April and 104 on the Feb are already met, we're still keeping a little bullish hat on right now. We won't start working on any hedges until maybe 110 on the April. So keep that in mind here. Maybe some initial places to start hedges right now. But I would not be jumping in right now on the sell side too aggressively just yet. As far as the hogs, the main point I wanted to show is, at this higher pork production environment we've been in for several weeks now. In fact, this week will be number 10. It certainly is continuing. That's why we're having a little trouble right now with the market, including myself, that we'd have the supply situation worked out. It'd be all done by now, but so far it hasn't. So kind of an unusual deal. We had 10 weeks of below normal pork production running from July through September. And right now we've got 9 weeks behind us of higher than normal pork production. So I wonder if maybe this week or next week might be a little inflection point. Maybe we're kind of making up some of that big marketing hole here. So overall for hogs, we're basically saying right now, yes, it's an ugly environment for the short term. In the long term, maybe this is still a buying possibility here